Because I've been playing a few Atari Jaguar racing games, I thought it might be a good idea to do a 32X racing game as a comparison, because they are systems that were sort of supposed to be competing against each other. And in fact, Virtua Racing is a pretty good game in its own right. I'm trying to do it with one hand. These 32X boxes are a little bit weird. So I'm not sure if you're supposed to take the manual out from here, or if you're supposed to open it up from here. But it's probably best to take it out from the side so you don't rip the box. According to the back of the box, you can play this in split screen 2-player, which is quite cool. I've never tried that before, so I don't know how slow it plays. I think the cartridges are actually bigger inside as well, so you wouldn't be able to plug this into a Mega Drive. This is what you need to set up your 32X. You need to plug your 32X into your Mega Drive's cartridge port. There'll be this patch cable, and it's slightly different depending on if you have a Model 1 or a Model 2. I've got a Model 1 Mega Drive, so I need both of them. So there's this one, and it plugs into this second one, and it plugs into there. And if you were using Model 2, then you would only need this, and you could plug that into there. You need to plug the patch cable into AV in. That's this one. Now you'll have an aerial which plugs into AV out, but that does mean that I'm going to have to use RF. Now the last thing you actually need 2 AC adapters, and not actually the same ones. So there's one for the Mega Drive and there's one for the 32X, and they've got different plugs as well. So that's quite a lot of cables, but it should work.
Virtua Racing!
So this game's got some pretty good presentation. It's quite big borders at the top and bottom there. I forgot to check if this is exactly the same as the arcade original, because of course this is based on an arcade game that Sega made. I chose this game because it's a bit of a comparison to the previous video I did of Club Drive on the Atari Jaguar. I don't have many racing games on the 32X, so this is the only one I could do, and I'll just say now that this is a much better game. What I'll do first of all is I'll just sort of show it off a little bit without properly racing. So you can see there's not really a lot of detail in everything, but there is actually just enough. So there's stuff on the roadside there. There's some trees that are made out of just single triangles. But of course the way you play this game, you're zooming past everything so fast that it doesn't really matter. this looks pretty good actually. You can get an inside the car view. Although I never play it like this because it makes it almost impossible to see the track ahead of you when you play it like this. It's nice little details like that spinning horse there. And the backgrounds are, I think the backgrounds are drawn with the Mega Drive. So they're not perfectly in sync with the polygons, which is done by the 32X. So yeah, this game feels pretty good to play. It looks good enough, I'd say. It's a game that Sega have already converted once before this version, because they converted it to the Mega Drive, didn't they? So let's do a proper race, but let's do it on the first track. Let's go to Virtua Racing mode. There's not really a huge amount of options. I don't think there's like any cup competitions or anything like that. Although there is a 2-player split screen mode. So here we go, my pit crew are giving me some new wheels before I start. That's a nice little detail, I like that. So yep, this moves at a really frantic pace. So you don't see any slowdown or anything like that. What it seems to do, and I'm just guessing here actually, is that it just drops polygons instead of drawing too many on screen. So it never slows down. You don't get a particularly good draw distance, especially when you're zoomed out this far. Now I'm playing this on normal. I'm not exactly great at this game, so normal was pretty challenging for me, and I really have to concentrate. I mean, it's an arcade game, but it plays like an arcadey game. So what will happen if you spin off the track, or if you bump into cars, then the game will physically slow you down. So sometimes you lose control for a second it's like a pre-programmed punishment for going off the track. Or you'll do a little spin animation. So it's all about the time that you have left. So you are actually racing in a race against 15 other cars, but there's also a time limit, and if you're quite far back, then you'll run out of time before you actually finish the race. So you really do have to concentrate on the time more than anything else. The way this moves kind of reminds me a little bit of the Knuckles Chaotix special stages. The camera will sit at an angle that the road is at, and the road is made out of nice big chunky angled polygons, so it doesn't move very smoothly. Hope you get what I mean there. But 5th isn't too bad for me, actually. Now, I don't think I've ever checked, but I think it saves your high scores to the cartridge, and you get a really nice replay. So it saves the entire race as a replay, and you get to hear this really cool music as well. By the way, I've got this music on my channel uploaded separately if you want to listen to it. Sometimes people don't like videos where someone talks over the game, which is what I do. I narrate my videos. But yeah, I've uploaded this music.
1, 2, 3, go!
Now there seems to be a bit of a common consensus that the 32X was and is a complete and total flop. The thing about that is that I think that it couldn't have been a success at all, and Sega actually did as best as they possibly could, and it was as successful as it possibly could have been. So let's just have a quick look to find out how many units the 32X sold. So according to Wikipedia, the 32X sold 800,000 units. I don't know what kind of comparison you can make to say whether that is a flop or a success. But to me, 800,000 doesn't sound too bad. It was only around for about a year. It was an add-on when Sega was still making Sega Mega Drive games. They were still selling the Master System. They had the Mega CD on sale, and they had just released the Sega Saturn. Sega made a fairly good stab at making some games for the 32X, because they made this, Virtua Racing, they made Virtua Fighter 1, they made a conversion of Star Wars Arcade, they managed to get Doom on the machine. The Atari Jaguar sold less than 250,000 consoles. The 3DO? Oh, okay, so apparently the 3DO sold around 2 million units over the course of about 3 years. There's also the CD32. So let's see what the CD32 sales are like. Again, according to Wikipedia, the Amiga CD32 sold approximately 100,000 units, but that's only in Europe. So I don't know, I mean, I guess I'm going to have to leave it up to you guys watching this video to decide for yourself what you consider a flop or not. I've waffled on far too much.